Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another Marvel comic review, and in this Marvel comic review I'll be covering Demon Wars, Scarlet Sin, issue 1, and also Moon Knight, issue 23 by Jed MacKay. So I'll now get things organised for the first one that I'll be covering for this video. So jumping into first things first, and as we go into Demon Wars Scarlet Sin, issue 1, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that's happening inside of the story? In some essence it does, because it does take a lot of place in the spirit realm. Even though you probably can't quite make that out on the cover, you will be able to make it out, or the spirit world, on the inside of the story. So for the cover, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art, which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and end, and also things that are happening story-wise. So with this issue, it takes place right after the last part, and that's into the spirit world. And as we start to draw into the beginning of the story, we have Mariko Yoshida, and we get to see her interaction with some of the people in the spirit world. As we jump into the middle of the story, we do get to see a bit of a return into the main world. So after things have finished with her, after some of the things that are finished in her present time in the spirit world, we see a return to the main world, to which she lives in Japan. And last but not least, we get to see her last set of interactions with the spirit world and moving into the main world. And I will include some of the additional parts here at the end of the story, because it gives us a little bit more detail in regards to the characters that have shown up in the story. So this is this end bit here of a couple of the characters. So for the internal art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move in relation to the story and what makes up its rating. So first things first, did we get any comic book references to any of the previous issues? No, we didn't. No, it would not hurt to include it for this particular series. The next is the area of time, to which, again, nothing was sort of brought into the area of time, though I think it would help, like, in between some certain sections. The next area is location, to which in the location we know that this takes place in Japan, and it's sort of like between home and school and a shrine that she goes to, and also the spirit world. The cast of characters consisting of Mariko Yoshida, the Oni King, we had Yamamoto, we had Momiji, we had the character of Hayabusa, Aosagi, Kumosuki, Haniya, and Tio Hobebi, the characters that you were shown at the end. So for the overall story rating in this, I give it a 7 out of 10. Now it's time to move into Moon Knight. So as we jump into Moon Knight, we also have Venom jumping in too. But who is this Venom? Well, we'll soon find out once we move into the additional sections that make up the rating for the story. So first things first, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to something that is happening inside with the story? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the internal art, which we'll have a look around the beginning, middle, and of course the end, and also what's happening story-wise. So as we begin to jump into the beginning of the story, we see that there's a group of people who are wanting to take out this particular venom, and we also get to catch up with the character of Dylan. And to those who aren't familiar with the character of Dylan, he is a part of like the Marvel universe, and he is also the son of Eddie Brock. And in this, Dylan Brock has gone to MoonKnight, and we do learn that he's now under his protection, seeing that he's here, and he's also going to help him out as he also helps him out too. So as we start to move into the middle of the story, we finally get a bit of a fight with some of the villains that are chasing him, and we have MoonKnight also helping out as well. Really good. I'm surprised that one character that I think really would have been good here, should the opportunity have arisen, is if MoonKnight, even though he's sort of like said that he will give Dylan his protection, that maybe he could have brought in Hunter's Moon, maybe Tigress, maybe some of the other characters, just to sort of like include that as additional support. And I think that would have made a little bit more sense in the story of him protecting Dylan. And last but not least, we move towards the end of the story to where things finish off at the Midnight Mission and him protecting Dylan. And as you can see here, it looks like Dylan has somewhat been aged up and brought to his teenage years. So it would be nice if Marvel actually brought out a trade paperback or an omnibus of sorts that covers this character's journey, because I'd really like to see this character's journey from beginning to where they would be presently now in the series. And it would be really nice to be able to learn more about the character. So for the internal art, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now it's time to move into the area of the story. So first things first, did we get anything comic reference wise? And sure enough, we did. At the beginning of the book and also towards the end. With the beginning, we had a reference to the Miss Marvel versus Venom. So we do know that by the indication of that, it gives me an idea that maybe Dylan was maybe at the end of that story. And this is where he is now in the what's happening with the Venom event. And also we had Devil's Reign issue 1. So we had those links within the story. Next theory is that of time. No indication of time. Location. We ended up, of course, going to the Midnight Mission, and a lot of the things that were happening here were taking place in New York City, where the Midnight Mission is. The cast of characters consisting of MoonKnight, Dylan, who was Venom, and also Sydney Sarnek. For the overall story rating in this, I give a 7 out of 10. Until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.